Have you heard of China's not-so-new weapon to target India? I say it's not new because most of us may already be familiar with this weapon. Most of us may have already used it at some point in our lives. It's called emotional blackmail. Well, China is trying to emotionally blackmail India. After all its propaganda, threats and fake news failed, this rogue power is now playing the emotion card, it seems. It is using Indian expats living in China as the pawns. Let me show you something. This is a video released by China's mouthpiece, the Global Times. It was posted on Twitter yesterday. Read very carefully what the caption states. Will you divorce me if the India-China relationship becomes more complicated? Shri asked her Chinese husband as a joke. Who is Shri? An Indian woman married to a Chinese man. Why is she worrying about a divorce? Partly because of the growing tensions between India and China, and mostly because India has banned Chinese apps. When did that lead to a divorce? A ban which, according to the Global Times, has turned Shri's life upside down. Watch this video first.
我的所有的朋友、所有家里人都是在微信上面，对，然后发朋友圈什么，他们都能看得到在中国过得怎么样。那现在看不到。我们还是过几天之前，我还在跟他聊，我开玩笑，如果这个两个国家的问题变复杂了，你会不会离婚？他说：“你疯了，不会的。我娶你，因为你是印度人，但是你是一个好女人。”
This may just be a new low in China's information warfare. The Global Times has truly outdone itself this time. It has used a private matter to push state propaganda in Indian face to tell China's story. Well, here's the thing. There are people like Shri on both sides of the border. People who are suffering due to China's aggression. People who have suffered for a long time due to China's censorship. Also, the message China is trying to send through this video is not one of peace. It's a message which shows how vulnerable the Indian diaspora in China could be if tensions still persist. Why this woman may be facing divorce, they're trying to say. Because this is not the first time that China has dragged foreign citizens into its quarrels with other countries. Not very long ago, it was the Canadian diaspora which was on target in China. In December 2018, the Canadian government arrested Meng Wanzhou, the Huawei founder's daughter, also a top executive in the company, on charges of fraud. She was arrested, or detained rather, upon her arrival in Vancouver. Do you know how China retaliated? It arrested two Canadians, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, on unproven charges of espionage. The two men continue to be in a Chinese prison to this day, and hundreds of other Canadians are still under state surveillance in China. Now, China is using the same playbook in its fight with India. It's dragging the Indian diaspora to send a message to New Delhi. According to the same Global Times report, there are close to 56,000 Indians in China. So far, China has not arrested Indians living there, not to the best of our knowledge, but the precedents set by the Chinese regime are not encouraging. The Global Times says India's ban on Chinese apps like WeChat is making it tougher for Indians to communicate with their families. What about China's own ban on most leading social media apps, a ban which has existed for years? The Global Times does not talk about them. The world's most used websites and apps are not accessible in China. I have a list: Google, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, WhatsApp, Wikipedia, Spotify, Quora, Google Maps, Google Pay, Gmail, Snapchat, Reddit, Tumblr, Pinterest. I could go on with the examples. The fact is this: almost every leading search engine, website or social media app is banned in China, and the Global Times is only complaining about WeChat. It's an app that is said to censor and collect private conversations automatically, an app the Chinese Communist Party has often used to keep tabs on citizens. I'm not making this up. Look at these headlines on your screen. WeChat has only extended the global reach of China's surveillance and censorship. Every day, millions of WeChat conversations inside and outside China are flagged. They're collected, they're stored in a database which is linked to public security agencies in China. It does not matter where you are or who you are. If you're making political statements about the CCP, the Communist Party of China, on WeChat, do know this: the Chinese regime is coming for you. If you're still not convinced, then let me tell you what happened to Chen Zhiren, a Chinese state media journalist turned anti-corruption blogger. He was jailed for 15 years, 15 years, in May this year. What was his crime? He was making political statements about the CCP in his private conversations on WeChat. He was convicted and sent to jail for doing so. His whereabouts are unknown to this day. So here's the bottom line. India's ban on Chinese apps is hurting Beijing's economic interests. The fact that the Chinese state media is now dragging Indian citizens into this narrative only reveals China's frustration. If there ever was to be an Oscar for the worst produced propaganda, we'd like to nominate the Global Times for it.